Welcome all to Cousins Gymnasium in Medford, Massachusetts, on the campus of Tufts University for Senior Day action on the eve of the basketball postseason. The Bobcats of Bates College, urged on early by the winter weather, arrived to take on the number 14 ranked Jumbos of Tufts University for the last game of the NESCAC men's basketball regular season. Bates comes into this game knowing they have nothing to lose. They're already out of the playoff picture. They also know they came just inches away from blooding the noses of the near consensus number one team in the country in Wesleyan just 7 days ago. Meanwhile, Tufts is locked in almost certainly to the 3 seed after other results elsewhere today, but they're still on a mission to redeem themselves after a tumultuous weekend in Connecticut 2 weekends ago. They took out their frustration decisively on Amherst and Hamilton last weekend, but the Bobcats are the next team to stray into their path. My name is Micah Baum. I am joined by our very own senior sensations, Jared Cohen and Riley Daniel, and you are watching Tufts University JumboCast. Riley, it seems only appropriate to start by discussing members of this Tufts senior class.
Yeah, I think that is where we need to start. And we need to start, this is a senior class that is often underappreciated because they don't really have any starters, but when you look a little bit deeper, you see how big of an impact they've had. That 73-30 career record, that is the best win percentage of any graduating class since the class of 1997. It includes a 28-16 record going into today in NESCAC play, 842 career points, 604 career rebounds, and these 5 you see on the screen will be your starting 5 for today, making their first ever start as a starting 5.
Definitely, and talking about underappreciated, we have to talk about this Bates team who have been underperforming, to say the least, compared to or where they would hope to be, but last weekend they really put up a result for the books, Jared.
Yeah, well, first off, Mike, I want to say that intro was positively poetic. It was sounding like that soccer guy. I forget his name, but
I'll take the compliment either way.
Absolutely right, though. We saw something we definitely did not expect this last week when Wesleyan took on Bates. It was Bates' senior day at home, and despite being outscored in the first half 42-31, they came roaring back to outscore Wesleyan 27-16 in the second before falling in overtime. But for a team like Bates that had such a rough season last year, which we'll talk about later, only 3 wins, to come out this season, put up double-digit wins, and then take really the undisputed best team in the nation to overtime, it really is a feat, although they didn't come out on top in the end. You look at that second half, they held Wesleyan to 17.1% shooting. It doesn't come by accident. You don't stumble into that. So a lot of good things are happening in this Bates program this year. They've taken a big step forward in the wins column, especially on the defensive end. And they fought teams pretty hard. We saw them here in this building beat Rochester earlier this season. And then today we'll see if they can give Tufts the same kind of fight that they gave Wesleyan.
Yeah, well, Bates certainly gave us the storyline last weekend, but Tufts had a point to prove on their own turf as well.
Yeah, 100%. We came into last weekend really with a question on our mind. It was our key to the game, our overarching narrative. Can Tufts bounce back after their weakest weekend of the year, back-to-back losses to Wesleyan and Trinity, albeit 2 very strong teams. That Trinity loss, bit of a blowout. What do? They come out, and they couldn't really win any more convincingly. 90-51 over Amherst, 84-69 over Hamilton. The Amherst game was a blowout from the very beginning of the game. The Hamilton game was really a wire-to-wire win that was probably a bigger victory than that 15 points is going to tell you. They were up in the first half, and look at the field goal percentage, up, efficient basketball. And I include three-point makes here because I think that we've seen a key now for this Tufts team is that the three-point shot is not a fundamental part of this offense. It's not what they're going to be focused on, but it comes in rhythm, and when they are moving the ball well and they're playing in rhythm on offense, it doesn't matter because they have so many guys who can score in so many different ways that they don't need to make a concerted effort to get to the three-point line. So last weekend, just a huge bounce back. Momentum is certainly on their side, no doubt about it. And if the box scores coming into today mean anything, Tufts certainly should be able to get out of here with a win, but we'll see.
Got a little preview of it there, but what is so crucial to the Jumbo's game plan aside from those 3 points that we've said have gotten more important recently?
Well, Jared put a really good analysis in that three-pointers aren't something the Jumbos need. It's great when they have them. What they do need is consistency from Scott Gemesi. It's not a coincidence that the 2 times Scott Gemesi was in single figures in scoring in the NESCAC campaign were the 2 losses at Wesleyan and at Trinity. On the other side, you look at Bobby Stewart back in the starting lineup for the first time this year. Those of us who were around 2 years ago remember him as a playmaker up at the top of the key, looking to distribute. Be interested to see how he does today. And then that last one, we looked at what is important in this rotation and how Brendan Litton's been tinkering with his rotations a little bit. Today he's definitely going to have to do more of that. No Sidney Wooten, no John Medley. So the question is, who is his main rotation today? What does he do to change it to get his team as ready as possible for the postseason where there is no margin for error?
100%. Whereas on the other side, Bates are looking to cause another headline. What can they do to make sure that happens?
Well, there's a lot of simple things they can do. When you look at this Bates team, often the problems have been the fundamentals. This is a team that's shooting 70% from the free throw line. When you look at their losses, they're shooting 64% in those losses from the free throw line. Then you look at the bench, and that is the biggest indicator of how that team is doing. In their close losses and their one NESCAC win over Bowdoin, their bench is averaging 30 points. In their 5 double-digit losses, their bench is averaging 10. Lastly, you talked about their great comeback against Wesleyan last week to get it to overtime. They were able to close it out down the stretch, but really that's the first time we were able to see Bates push it down the stretch and really come up clutch. They have struggled in close games down the stretch, and if this one ends up a close one, we'll be interested to see how the Bobcats are able to deal with the pressure.
Certainly. We are going to take a break off the mic, but we will bring you the Senior Day festivities live from Ty Court. Stay with us.
Welcome to Cousins Gymnasium on the campus of Tufts University here in Metro Massachusetts for today's Senior Day New England Small College Athletic Conference matchup featuring the visiting Bobcats of Bates College and your Tufts University Jumbo. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Senior Day at Tufts University, and the Jumbo men's basketball team and athletic department would like to thank 6 individuals for their hard work, dedication, commitment, and perseverance to the program over the last 4 seasons. For the last 4 years, Tufts University men's basketball team has posted an overall record of 73-30, registering a 26-13 mark in the NESCAC. The Jumbos have qualified for the NESCAC tournament all 3 years and have tallied 2 trips to the NCAA tournament so far, including a Sweet 16 appearance last season in 2023-24. More so, this group has demonstrated class, leadership, and helped build a true winning team culture during their time. Now, this time, let's meet the Tufts senior class. First, team manager Jacqueline Conner. Jackie, also on the road team, is escorted today by her parents, Judy and Ken, and will graduate with a degree in data sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, Jackie Wilker. Next, a guard from Westwood, Massachusetts, number 4, Michael Berluti. Berluti also on the football team here at Tufts, is joined today by his parents, Bob and Michelle Berluti, and will graduate with a degree in economics. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Berluti. Next, the guard from Louisiana, Illinois, number 1, Quinn Kane. Kane is escorted on the floor today by his parents, Jason and Cindy Kane, and will finish his time in Tufts with a degree in economics. Ladies and gentlemen, number 1, Quinn Kane. Next up forward from Malibu, California, number 25, Tufts Game. Getting also on the football team here in Tufts is joined today by his parents John and Ann Geddes, and will graduate with a degree in engineering psychology. Ladies and gentlemen, number 25, Tufts Game. Next, a guard from Rumson, New Jersey, number 15, Jackson Patton. Team Jackson Patton is escorted today onto the floor by his parents Rob and Catherine Patton, and is a double major in science, technology, and society, and history. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause for number 15, Jackson Patton. And a forward from Boca Raton, Florida, number 31, Bobby Stewart. Stewart is escorted this afternoon off the floor by mother Laura Stewart and stepfather David Coleman. And will graduate from Tufts University with a degree in history. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for number 31, Bobby Stewart. Once again, the Tufts Athletics Department would like to thank this group of 6 individuals for their dedication to the Tufts men's basketball team and wishes them all the best in their future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tufts men's basketball senior class of 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like everyone to please rise and table, remove your caps, and face the flag as we honor with the singing of the national anthem this afternoon by Tufts first year volleyball standout, Maywood Gamgee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bonfires singing their gay proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I think the one addition that we can all be glad we've gotten this year is first-year volleyball player Maywood Gamgee and her beautiful rendition of the national anthem, which has become a staple of virtually every game in Cousins, especially this season.
I don't know, Mike. I feel like she might need to get a new career, go on The Voice or American Idol. I feel like she's really got potential there as a singer if the volleyball career doesn't pan out professionally.
Certainly something to look into for her, as we can bring you news as to what the playoff situation looks like for Tufts at this moment in time, given other results elsewhere.
Yeah, we can, as we take a look here at this graphic. And, well, I don't know if the Jumbo's players or even coaching staff knows this, but they got about the best possible hand they could have been dealt. The team that they did the most damage to in terms of the NESCAC this year, that Amherst team that, as you mentioned in the Open, Jared, they throttled by 39 last week, will be coming to Cousins next Saturday. But I think when looking at that bracket, you almost have to feel bad for the Wesleyan Cardinals. 25-0, and yet they have objectively the hardest of the bottom four teams in Williams, a team with a 15-9 overall record.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you look at the right side of this bracket, given the outcome of that Tufts-Amherst game last weekend, you have to think Tufts is heavily favored going into next weekend. And then Trinity going up against Colby. You know, both Trinity and Tufts have beat Colby this season, but Trinity walloped Tufts when they played a couple weeks ago. That was really the biggest blowout of the season, and so you're staring down that matchup in a couple weeks if you're Tufts.
Well, you are, but also I don't think Trinity can feel as comfortable that they're going to go through against Colby as the Jumbos can feel, just because they played yesterday, Colby and Trinity, and it was only a 10-point win for the Bantams.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to be a fascinating couple weeks in the NESCAC, and I think all eyes are on those top three seeds. This season has played out in a manner that they have really separated themselves from the pack. Wesleyan, the best team in the country, Trinity and Tufts, locks really to make the NCAA tournament, barring disaster. And so those will be the three teams that we have our eyes on.
And not only.
Meanwhile, back in the now, we do have starting lineups as the teams take to the floor. Start things off with tip-off. It will be Babacar Pui and Bobby Stewart.
Five seniors going to start this one off for the Jumbos.
Come on, B-Stu.
Pui wins the tip. Base starting lineup for you will be Brady Coyne, Grant Neto, Peter Syhagis, Babacar Pui, who's going in there and will win an early foul, alongside Keenan Sparks the first year.
And the question I had, we were talking about this off air before this game started, with this starting five, which has not played a minute together in their careers, where does the offense come from, Jared?
You know, I think you mentioned it. We haven't seen this lineup before, but we have seen portions of it together. We saw a lot of Truman Gettings and Bobby Stewart kind of as a duo back when they were freshmen and sophomores. We haven't seen a lot of Berluti, but when you put them together, I think you got to work this offense out of the post. I'm hoping this lineup gets a little bit of a run to start the game. I'm hoping it's more than a couple minutes. There's some interesting things to see here, and I think it could be a lot of fun to kind of see these guys get to work. We saw Berluti in a pull-up jump shot at the end of the game last weekend. There's some offense to be found.
The first action is to go behind by a point as Pui sank one of two. Attempted long-range shot from Stewart, and the rebound goes to Kane, but he can't put it up in the end. As away comes Sparks.
And Stewart wanted that one, and we saw him shooting some threes and warm-ups. He wanted that one to fall.
Gettings with the rebound. Now Patton bringing it forward. Stewart finding Gettings. Gettings going to lay it up, and that will put it into 2-1 for the Jumbos.
Exactly what we talked about in the Open. Bobby Stewart playing fast in transition, serving as that high post distributor.
For the record, that was Bobby Stewart's third career three-point attempt. He was 1 for 2 before that one.
Pui putting up a three-point attempt of his own. He's been somewhat prolific from that range, but couldn't find the target this time. Gettings fakes it, goes inside now, and can't keep control of the ball. Meanwhile, away with it comes Syhagis. Back to Pui outside the arc.
Quinn Kane given the assignment of face guarding Brady Coyne.
Meanwhile, here's Neto going up against Berluti. Berluti has a lot of hands over him, and he will draw the foul.
And that's a good call. 2 hands on the defender, goes up, not vertical. Pretty easy call. So this lineup so far, some mixed results, but I like what I'm seeing.
Senior on the other side for the Bobcats, Grant Neto, going to the line. First one off the rim.
Yeah, Neto's had a bit of an inconsistent role this season, been in and out of the starting lineup. throughout, hasn't really been able to find a rhythm, but back in the starting lineup now, and he'll get a chance today to get some shots up.
Was 10 of 11 from the stripe coming into that sequence. He's now 10 for 13. Here's Berluti. Finds Kane pulling up from 3, and he sinks it.
Great screen there from Bobby Stewart. Kane flies around the pin down, gets an open look, and he's always going to hit that.
One thing about the senior lineup that's basically always going to be true is you've got 4 years together. You spent all this time in this system. All the 4 of those years have been, or at least 3 of them, with Coach Linton. And they know what they're doing on the offensive end. See Berluti save that one. Looked like he stepped out. But they will work within the system. It's going to be well coached, and they'll have fun within that.
Pui looking to make something happen, but drastically misjudged that ball as Sparks are cutting inside. Cole Decker is going to come into the game for the Bobcats imminently. Checking in Forsyth Hodges, who leads the Bobcats in minutes, already getting some words of advice from his coach.
Kind of surprised at how well this unit's able to deal with Pui. No real traditional wing in this unit, but still able to deal with the very quick 6'7" junior.
Here's Stewart looking for Berluti. Driving inside, trying to hook that one up, and it was an air ball in the end. Sparks bringing it forward to Coyne. Short 2, and Stewart gets the rebound. End-to-end stuff here now is Patton bringing it forward. Eventually he's going to slow it down. Stewart sets the pick, but Kane can't get anywhere with it. Berluti into Stewart. Senior unit still doing their best, but it's another air ball from the corner.
Having a little bit too much fun, maybe. Stewart fadeaway jump shots and air ball. As soon as he got the ball, that's where he wanted to go. But they retain possession, get another shot.
John Furbush, not John Furbush, Zachary Carriviello, the assistant coach for the Bobcats, very much on the court, animated with his defense.
Kane unchallenged on the rebound as the next starting 5, the traditional starting 5 will check in soon. That one from Gettings couldn't find the net. Sparks going up against Patton, gets around him. Now back for Neto. Couldn't quite get there. Put back is not there either, and eventually the 3rd time's a charm.
Well, I can tell you what the crowd is upset about. Cole Decker gave Michael Berluti a 2-hand shove fit for a quarterback to face and was not called for it.
I was going to say, you got to give Patton a shot attempt here. Everyone else on the floor has gotten one, but with the guys waiting to come in, mass substitution, probably won't get that opportunity right now.
The senior class have gotten 3 minutes, 50 seconds. They will soon be replaced by the traditional 5, bar John Medley, who we saw in a boot earlier before this game.
Yeah, I do wonder a bit, if this wasn't senior day, who would be starting in his spot? You see Liam Kennelly is in, so that's the answer. I was going to say, wonder if Truman Gettings, works out, he's at the line, he stays in, but no, looks like the starting 5, Sans, John Medley, you got Kennelly in there, still would have Truman Gettings in a pretty big role off the bench. Going to let Scott Jamesi come in.
That really changes things for the Jumbos, especially offensively. With Kennelly on the floor, you assume that means Maracas is now your 2 guard, allows him to really look for his own shot instead of having to play the distributor role.
Kennelly has been the leader in bench minutes on the year for the Jumbos, getting a chance, still technically bench minutes today, but effectively a starter.
And Medley a really strong defender, and Kennelly a really strong defender in very different ways. Medley's got a lot of length, and Kennelly's a lot more scrappy, so I don't think you're losing a lot on the defensive end bringing in Kennelly.
Only maybe a couple inches.
Yeah, maybe.
Decker trying to put one up.
A couple inches of sock height.
Bernstein does what Bernstein does, gets the board. Here's Maracas, first touch. Lofts one in towards Bernstein.
And this is a mismatch.
Defender goes to ground. That was Sparks, but Bernstein doesn't win any ground. Maracas trying to get a 3, and it's another one down.
I mean, you see it from the beginning. You get Bernstein switched on and Keenan Sparks. That's just a mismatch. You've got to attack. And then once the ball gets there, the defense just is in disarray. You've got to help double in the inside and then an easy 3 on the outside for Maracas.
As soon as Bernstein comes in, Shuer Mayen coming in for the Bobcats, as that's one of something you would expect to see several times today, a Brady Coyne three-pointer.
Yeah, Jumbos can't switch under that screen. They got to fight over it because if he gets an open look, he's too good of a shooter.
Yeah, and if Bates wants a chance in this game, he's going to be a big part of it. He's been on a heater recently and off to a good start now, hitting his first three. That one, I think, off Maracas, and it is. Coyne, he's got, I believe, 18 three-pointers made in his last 3 games. See him right here, no hesitation, and knocks it down. This is a guy who's he's had over 5 3-pointers made in each of his last 2 games. Again, with some of this team just not being an efficient combination of guys on the offensive end, Coyne is someone that needs to step up and has stepped up recently for them to be competitive.
Coyne from shorter range this time is no good.
Dylan Riley with a great contest there, fought over the screen, didn't let him get a good look.
Jamesi trying to get his first points on the board and does so well.
It's a big man, and it's a strong man, and he knows how to use it, gets the ball and beeline to the basket, no hesitation, put a body into the defender, and up an easy bucket.
Canelli trying to put in the block there, and he will be glad to see that it rimmed out. Nothing called there as the Bobcats pull the lead to just 2, keeping things tight in the early stages.
Yeah, Bates looking pretty cohesive on the offensive end. Now we're just seeing the tough starting lineup, of course, but definitely a strong start. And this is the matchup you want to see. Bernstein on Pui.
It's actually on Mayen as Mayen draws the foul. So he checked in for Pui.
Mayen
6'8", Pui just 6'7". You compare that to the Tufts roster when they have 6'11" Josh Bernstein, but then also 6'9" Evan Reeves.
And we saw a little bit of Mayen earlier this season when Bates came to play some away games here in Cousins. And he's really an interesting talent, big guy, so efficient from the field so far this season. And that's really where this team has a lot of room to grow in the next couple years. Pui's only a sophomore, Mayen's a junior. You've got a lot of length down low and a lot of athleticism. Pui is in the top 5 in shot blocks per game. And then, of course, you've got shooting with Brady Coyne. He's a junior. A lot of this team's going to be back next year, which I think is really interesting. And given the step they took from last season to this season, 3 wins to 10 wins, let's say the sky's the limit, but a lot can go right over the next couple years with continued development.
The senior with the most games played for Bates is Grant Nadeau with just 9, or now 10, I believe, on the year. Here's Decker. Coyne trying to find a bit of space. Inside, and Jamesi couldn't get the block, can get the board.
Jumbo's got numbers.
Here's Canelli. Riley steps back, couldn't take in time. Maracas looking to drive. Fade away, off the rim, Bernstein with the rebound. Trying to put it back up and draws the foul.
Good job from Bernstein on the offensive glass. Now that's the second time in 3 possessions we've seen James Maracas look to create his own shot when there were probably better options. He's their leading scorer. When he gets in a roll, he is borderline unstoppable, but at times we've seen this where he struggles with the shot selection.
Yeah, sometimes a little bit of tunnel vision. Certainly has worked out more than it's not so far this season. I also like, when you've got Bernstein on the court, you get a shot up, good things tend to happen, and that's what happened right there. When Bernstein grabs the offensive rebound, so far Bates is just a little bit in disarray, and that's where the foul comes from. And smart from Bernstein, when you get the ball, go straight back up. You're under the rim, and he knows how to do that.
One thing Bates will be glad to see, Bernstein only 57% from the stripe coming into this game. Got 1 or 2 there. Coyne looking for another 3-pointer,
wow.
And that is nothing but net.
Dylan Riley just puts his hands up as to say, what can I do? He tried to fight through that screen, but it didn't matter.
That's a good contest. That's a good contest. That's heavily smothered as you'd get in 2K. That is good defense, but just a better shooter and a guy who recently just really can't miss.
I think the one thing that Riley would do to respond is to put down a 3-pointer of his own. Hasn't managed to find the space yet this game. Maracas. Bernstein. Contact but no foul. Still Bernstein. Finds Jamesi, looking for 3. And what can he not do?
It's really maybe the most underrated part of his game. The volume is very low. He'll take maybe 2, max 3 3-pointers a game, but he's at almost 43% on the season from 3. That's a weapon. That's someone you can't leave open, and so it just gives another dimension when your best interior threat is also making teams pay from outside.
Now up to 44% on the year from beyond the arc, and it really is a function of that shot selection.
You don't see him take contested threes. It's when it's in rhythm and within the offense and wide open.
Nice pass looking there for Bernstein, but he couldn't control it. It's going to go that way. Tufts gonna
Jumbo's
keep
got
control.
bailed out on that call.
Yeah, Bernstein turned his head. He was ready to go down the other end of the court on defense, but the referee says it's Tufts' possession.
First typical substitutions for Tufts as Gettings comes back into the game, as does Zion Watt. Kennelly and Bernstein will take a breather.
Zion Watt, who has really become an integral part of Brendan Linton's rotation in the part of NESCAC play.
Here's Jamesi. Floats one up, but that is a rarity from him.
Yeah, a miss from Jamesi, but he's having no problem getting to his right hand so far, which that's not really how you want to guard him.
Pui, another inch-perfect three-pointer.
And that's big for him. He'd been in a bit of a slump recently. Only 5 made three-pointers in his last 8 games entering Friday. He had a stretch earlier this year where he had 12 in 4 games. So the efficiencies and volume have been down. Really good to see him make one early here today.
He's back on defensive duty now, guarding Maracas. Maracas making his job tough, spinning this way and that, and can't quite get spin into the net.
Everything but the finish.
But that's just great isolation play there from Maracas.
Meanwhile, the other way is O'Leary. Finds Pui, looking to go back to O'Leary. Finds himself going up against Maracas. Pui looked like a hop there, but nothing called as this one finds its way out towards Saihajas. Couldn't quite get in the third in a row.
That one was 3/4 of the way down before taking a jumbo bounce.
Now here's Watt to Jamesi. Launches it cross court to Riley. It's covered instantly by Kravitz. Still trying to get something away, and Kravitz gets his own board. Up against Jamesi. Waiting for the team to get into its set as Pui's just brushes off his defender and sinks that one as Watt slammed in but was seconds too late.
So we're almost halfway through this first half, and Bates has a 2-point lead. So definitely some adjustments that Tufts needs to make on both ends. Hasn't been any sort of blowout.
There's the turn and shoot three from Dylan Riley. Takes 3 bounces and doesn't go in.
Jumbos get bailed out with a foul call on Pui. Oh no, they're going to change the call. It's going against Truman Gettings after some successful screaming from John Furbush.
Yeah, Pui was in a state of shock.
Yeah, the shock on Pui's face was something to behold.
But it'll go the other way.
Pui into Coyne, who will bring it up the court.
Jumbo's into that typical 3-2 zone here with Kennelly back on the floor.
Kravitz trying to slide that one inside Saihajas, but Kennelly has space to run into. Jamesi takes 1 step and takes 2 points.
I mean, he looks like Giannis out there, the way he just strides down the lane and gets to the rim at will.
And that's just set up by the 3-2 zone, though. It seems like every time, in this building at least, when they break out that 3-2 zone, the first couple possessions, we'll see right here, generally work out pretty well. That's how you beat it. And that's probably the first time in the last 2 weeks we've seen a team kind of slice apart this 3-2 zone by getting it away from the top of the key.
That was a classy pass there from Pui. Here's Riley now, squaring up Saihajas. Put a bit too much on that towards Gettings. He put far too much on that one towards Jamesi.
Good idea there, because when you draw that mismatch, you know the switch is going to come. Gettings was open, flashed for it. Just Gettings does not have that Bobby Stewart passing ability to just touch it over for Jamesi to finish the easy layup.
We talked about Bates' 3-point skills. They are 4th in the NESCAC for 3-point percentage. They are not nearly that high for plenty of other offensive statistics, so this has really been one area where they've excelled. Meanwhile, Pui trying to add to his own stat line from short range, can't do so.
And a nice correction there from Jamesi. He saw how Bates broke down the zone last possession, switched over to prevent them from running the same play.
Now Watt trying his luck from 3. No good.
Yeah, even so, I don't love where Quinn Kane was set up on the zone on that possession. Just a little bit too much room on the left side of your screen. If anyone cuts back there,
you'll live with that.
Yeah.
You can see the confidence flowing through Brady Coyne, though, as he's just taking shot after shot. Now it's Kravitz taking up that mantle, and another one just down as Bates are starting to pull away here.
If you just joined us, you would not know which team was the one that was 1-8 in NESCAC play, because they're playing like the one that's 7-2.
And Kravitz, he's a solid three-point shooter, 37%-ish on the season so far. So not a guy you can leave open, though. That one was a bomb.
Messi hurls that one across for Kennelly into Gettings. Takes his time, but can't find the target.
And that's a bailout call.
Yeah.
That's a late whistle. Shocked faces again on the Bates side. And I think also disappointing just because that was a phenomenal defensive possession up until that point for the entire Bates defense. And that's why they're up 5 right now. Tufts is at 31% from the field so far. They're 6 of 19. And really what led them to both of those big wins last weekend, as I said, it wasn't the three-point shooting, although they're 3 of 6 so far today. It was that they were getting easy in-rhythm looks through their offense. And so far today, the Bates defense has really stopped that Tufts offense from getting easy inside looks.
Well, I'll elaborate on your stat, Jared. They're a not great 6 for 19 shooting from the field. When you take Scott Messi out of that, they're 3 for 15 from the field. That's 20%.
And if you take away the three-pointers, they're 3 for 13. So nothing's really going as planned. I would say, of course, a bit of a different rhythm with the seniors coming in to begin the game, but certainly not the Tufts offense we saw come out of the gates on fire in both games last weekend.
Gettings doing his job from the line, bringing it back into a one-possession game. Bates are going to look to change that fact as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, here's Pui. Pump fake, another behind-the-back pass looking for the corner.
Great recovery from Kane.
Another Kravitz 3. This one doesn't go down.
And this is a Bates team that they get their three-point shots up. That's part of their offensive philosophy.
Maracas got completely covered there, and he manages to find the open man. Eventually, Kennelly's going to line up the 3, and they just don't have the magic the Bates do right now from behind the arc.
It didn't fall, but that's a great offensive possession after that save on the baseline from Maracas. Quinn Kane, no hesitation, whipped around. Kennelly, a good enough shooter that you're more than happy to live with that shot.
Here's Cy Hodges trying to cross up Jamesi. Finds Pui from 3. That one's a bit short, and Jamesi gets the board.
Yeah, and here I want, pass up ahead.
And that is what you want from Scott Jamesi is.
I was going to say I want Jamesi to lead a possession here. It took quicker than I thought it would. Got that down the court in a hurry, and that's you crawl back to a one-point game. Obviously, no need to panic. It's a one-point game here in the first half. Bates definitely fighting strong, and looks like we might be in for a good one, which is all really we can ask for.
It is, and I think I could have predicted that it would be competitive coming in just because it's such an interesting dynamic with the Jumbos being locked in to that 3 seed and Bates really having nothing to play for other than their pride. When you have these games where teams are locked in, teams are playing with nothing on the line, you see a lot less pressure and you see things that you don't normally see on the basketball court.
You really do. As Bates, again, they took number 1 Wesleyan to overtime last weekend. They are currently leading number 14 Tufts. Their other most impressive result on the year was against St. Joseph's College of Maine. They won that one by, I believe, 11 points, held one of the top 10 offenses in the country to their joint lowest point total on the year. The only other team who held them to that few, I believe, was 72 points. That was WPI, who are in and around those top 20 rankings with Tufts. So on their day, this Bates team really can provide a challenge to some of the best teams in the country.
They're a streaky team. They started off the season 0-4, then they won 3 in a row. They had a stretch where they were 6-1. Then coming into today, they've lost 5 in a row. So it's just been ups and downs. And coming off those 5 losses towards the end of the year, you want to kind of end on a high note. I think that's what we're seeing, at least so far, from Bates.
They end back into the game. Him to inbound. As we tick towards 6.5 minutes left in this first half, Bates leading by 1. Sparks surveying his options. Man still lurking by the basket. Cy Hodges towards the corner. 3 attempt comes in, and it's another one that goes down. And this is becoming something of a pattern as Bates are just exploiting that 3 ball that Tufts cannot seem to defend.
Kane did a better job there, I think, hedging on the defensive end, but then the shooter Kravitz moves all the way to the corner. He can't make up the space.
That's a goaltend. But such a great play design. You have Jamesi set the screen for Kane coming around the pin down and then roll. Both defenders commit to Kane on the shot, and Jamesi unguarded at the rim.
Still, Bates will take that, trade that 1 point more towards their advantage.
And now Tufts dropping back into man.
Here's Decker trying to get past the pick of Mayen. Mayen looking for the putback and got more rim than ball.
He got all of the rim.
Another three coming in, another one sunk with nothing but net.
6 for 13 now are the Bobcats from deep in this first half, and it's the reason they have that 5-point lead.
Kennelly looking to switch up the direction, finds Kane. He can't get it to go either. Bates up 5 now, as number 5, Keenan Sparks with the ball. Bernstein and Riley set to come back in for the Jumbos. Just directing traffic. Meanwhile, Kravitz is just going to take all of that out of contention and can't quite get that one to go in. Sahajis, Jamesi making sure he knows he's there. Kravitz to Mayen. Up against Gettings. Decker. Wasn't the best dribble, and he's going to be bailed out by Kravitz. Just going to launch one as the shot clock goes off.
Now, I know I'm an eternal pessimist, but I fully expected that shot to go in the way the Bobcats have been shooting the ball.
I did as well. Definitely a hot start for Bates so far. Again, it's one of those things, if you're Tufts, you can't let it phase you. The other team's hitting threes, and you feel like you're playing good defense. You just got to stay in your own rhythm, stay within your own system, and that we've seen that on the offensive end. So it's just about consistency.
Kennelly trying to push inside. There's plenty of arms around Josh Bernstein, but nothing doing there. Quinn Kane finds way to Dylan Riley. Into Gettings. Pushing past Coyne, and that's a good block there from Mayen.
Wow.
Now going the other way quickly. Here's Sahajis. Spinning against Kennelly, and Mayen wisely lets that one just roll in. 7-point lead now for the Bobcats.
It's a strong finish. And on the other end, not a great possession from the Tufts offense. A lot of dribbling from Kennelly. And just right now, you don't really have anyone on the floor who can really dominate on the ball.
Linton knows that. Jamesi, who came out about 30 seconds ago, already sent back to the scorer's table.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think one of Jamesi or Marakis really should be on the floor throughout this game. And I had, just judging how this is going so far, I had really one stat circled coming into the day. Games this season with over 10 three-pointers made, Bates has 11, Tufts only has 5. Games this season over 50% from the field, Bates only has 1, Tufts has 11. And right now we're kind of seeing the best of both of those worlds for Bates in that they're getting their threes to fall. They can hit that 10 3-point benchmark. They had a stretch of 6 straight games this season where they hit 10 threes. And Tufts, despite the fact that they have those 11 games over 50%, including both games last weekend, they're not at that benchmark. And if that holds, that's a very good sign for Bates.
You're also looking at such a variety from Bates behind the arc. They have 6 players on their roster who have hit 4+ three-pointers in a collegiate game, compared to Tufts only 2. They can really just switch it up, and Tufts won't be able to handle all of those offensive weapons at once.
Yeah, Riley is the Tufts three-point shooter. Jamesi shoots it when it's open. Marakis has some volume there, but it's not like this Bates roster where three-point shooting is part of their offensive identity.
Here's another one sailing in as Coyne takes a late hit there.
And almost got it to fall. But that's what happens when you make, 2 already, and you've made 10 in your last 2 games. That closeout becomes a panic when you're on defense. It's this guy's going to make this shot unless I get as close to him as I can, and that's how you run into an unfortunate 3-point foul.
It is, and I think the Jumbos who we were talking about in the pregame, their offensive pedigree, we're starting to see just how integral to that John Medley was. He led the team in assists with 90 coming into the day, and you almost see, as you mentioned, without Jamesi and Marakis on the floor, the question becomes who's going to create the offense.
And that's such a sneaky stat because he is such a great passer, but he's not a point guard. He's kind of a shooting guard, forward combo, but his length and the way he penetrates the defense and then just finds the open guy, that has been an anchor point of this offense so far, and without him on the floor, it certainly has a different vibe to it.
Riley trying to find his rhythm. He finally gets one to go. As you look at Bates, and they've been dealing without a primary distributor all year. Their 5 starters coming into this game were all locked between 34 and 37 assists apiece this year.
Nothing looks better than a left-handed jump shot. Riley's got a beautiful one, and right there as well.
That one had a bit too much forward momentum from Sparks.
Good effort there from Zion Lott.
Cy Hodges is a lefty too. A lot of lefty shooters on the floor tonight.
Here's Stewart. Has plenty of space, but can't make anything work with it. Jamesi, and another huge block there from Mayo.
Gosh.
Talk about making a 6'8" frame look that good.
I mean, look at this. Boy, did he. Only way to say he spiked that. That is
Mayo and Camju would be proud.
Once a season kind of block right there. Just absolutely erased one of the better finishers in the league in Scott Jamesi. That's his 2nd block already.
I don't know in my 4 years if I've seen a better block than that in this gymnasium.
From Maywin to Mayen. Still has defensive work to do here as Riley's going to inbound. Finds Stewart.
Not on the same page whatsoever.
Out to Watt. Riley's calling for it. Eventually it finds its way to Jamesi. Shot clock running down. Here's Stewart and another block.
Why is this guy not starting every game?
I mean, I'm just looking to next year, and I'm thinking you got Pui and Mayen starting together. You're going to lead the league in blocks by a pretty good amount. He had 17 coming into today in 20 games. And he's clearly making an impact psychologically on this Tufts defense as well.
For all that, the lead is only 4. You would think the way the Bates have been playing that they've earned a bigger lead than that.
They have. I mean, they've shown, at least through 19 minutes, that they want it more today.
Here's Kravitz. To O'Leary. Passing with purpose as here's Sparks, shirt tug.
Yeah, that could have been a foul.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the other way goes Kennelly. Forced to slow down by Kravitz. Stewart calling for it. It's not going to go for the 3 that time, but the pass was not on point. Sparks again. Into Mayen. Decker. Finds some space for Sparks, and there's 2 Jumbos players in the vicinity.
That's a clean block from Dylan Riley. He came on the backside and just met him up top. Pushed that one out of bounds. So both ends, some feisty defense down low. And Riley, not the guy you'd expect to be a shot blocker, but very strong defense on that possession.
Yeah, good block from Riley, and a really good job from Bobby Stewart staying vertical, not leaning in and committing the foul.
Yeah, you can get the foul on the second guy even if the block is clean, but definitely good job there.
Oh my goodness, Shawer Mayen.
I mean, we did have a track meet here today. Maybe he should have competed in the high jump before suiting up.
The penetration, just a beautiful pass from O'Leary. Over pursued on the other end. And another block. We'll see if that's a goaltend. Overzealous maybe is the word, but you can't fault Mayen. He's been everywhere. Yeah, and that one off the backboard before he could get there. But excitement at the very least on both ends of the court.
Well, the crazy thing is that one was going nowhere near the rim.
Always wonder about that.
There are a lot where you're like, okay, yeah, I see why you blocked that. That one was going to come up about a foot short, but when you have that sort of athleticism, you just want to do it.
And when you're feeling yourself like that. Travel goes the way of the Jumbos, still fighting to get this one with the lead at the break. They have 31.6 seconds.
I
to get 4 points.
I would like to see a Mayen-Pui combo, if only because Pui is such a threat from outside and kind of is a forward center but has some ball handling skills. You'd have so much shot blocking ability down low, and also you could still space the floor. I'm sure Coach has thought about it before. As a Tufts commentator, it's something I want to see.
Put those 2 on the floor with Brady Coyne. Look out.
Kennelly taking plenty of time. There's about a 1 second difference between shot clock and game clock. Maracus to Riley. And that one's short. Riley going to go for another one. Got the space. Not the accuracy. Jemesi trying to get something out of it, wins the foul with 1.7 seconds left.
Scott Jemesi just putting in the work, gets the offensive board twice on that possession, earns the Jumbos an extra chance.
Yo, top of your screen, guys. Jumbo, the elephant, is in the building. Glad to see him here. Big.
The Jumbos on the court will need his team spirit if they want to get this one over the line. Jemesi sinks the first.
Wonder who's in that suit. Oh, there he is. Biggest fan of Tufts sports, Jumbo himself in the house.
You wouldn't necessarily be surprised if that one had gone in from Bates, but they will take a 3-point lead, 35-32, going into the break over the Tufts University Jumbos. Riley, what are we thinking about this game going to the half?
I mean, I don't know what I'm thinking because I had a halftime script prepared for what I thought I was going to see in this game, and then apparently Bates just ripped up the script and said we like our own better. They've come here to fight despite this game not having any meaning to them, and the Jumbos need to wake up a little bit. This game, while it will not influence their NESCAC standings, could have some serious repercussions in their MPI rating on whether or not they get to host an NCAA tournament weekend. So they need to lock in this halftime break.
And we're very invested in that because we want games here in Cousins Gymnasium during the NCAA tournament. But really, as Riley said, Bates is playing for pride. Tufts is playing for JumboCast to have games here. But it's just about getting into an offensive rhythm and getting back to the offense that we've seen in previous weeks. They haven't done that so far. Bates outpacing them really from everywhere on the offensive end. You go into halftime, you're going to reset and maybe come out and do your best. But Bates on the defensive end, they're instilling some fear in Tufts, and Tufts likes to score close to the basket. Bernstein, Jemesi in the restricted area. So far, Bates doing a good job of limiting that.
This is going to be a good one. We will be back in about 14 minutes ahead of the second half. Stay with us. Welcome back to Cousins Gymnasium in Medford, Massachusetts, as the Bates Bobcats find themselves on course for another headline weekend. They took number 1 Wesleyan to overtime last weekend. They are leading number 14 Tufts by 3 points here on the Jumbo's home turf. My name is Micah Baum, joined by Riley Daniel and Jared Cohen. Let's just give you some of the highlights from that first half. Before we get there, we have some things to say about this Bates team, because they have really changed things up this season. They've really turned things around in terms of their fortunes, Jared.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Bates fan, if you're Coach John Furbish, you're hoping this growth is exponential. You look at the difference between last season and this season. Not to say that this season has been an abject success, given that they are below 500, but you go from 3-21 to 10-13. That's a huge difference. And that away record, you didn't win a game on the road last year. 0-11. You're above 500 on the road this year. But you look at the points per game, hasn't changed on much. In fact, it's gone down a little bit. But that margin of victory has changed so much because the defense is just so improved. And I think even if that points per game is down, the offense is just more cohesive. There's a better understanding of what's going on. And again, as we talked about, this is a relatively young team. They're not going to be graduating this year. They're going to bring back a lot of these guys. They're fighting a Tufts team that is an objectively better roster to tooth and nail so far today. It's a 3-point lead for them. So you got to be really happy if you're John Furbush, and I think you're looking forward to next season, knowing you're not in the playoffs this year. If you went from 3-21 to 10-13, you can get over 500 next year and make a push for the playoffs.
And such a big part of that form today, at least, has been the three-point shooting. We had prepared some stuff to talk about in terms of comparing Brady Coyne and Dylan Riley, who have been really the standout three-point shooters, but it has been more so the story of Coyne today.
It really has been the story of Coyne. He's 3 for 7 from the field, 2 of those 3 from beyond the arc. And, I mean, it's really been his story all year, 61 threes. He's taken 71% of his total shots from beyond the arc. Of course, Dylan Riley, he says, I see you and I graze you. He's only taken 19% of his shots from inside that three-point arc. So let's just say if you're a betting man, don't bet on Dylan Riley to go to the rim.
You can see here as we have one of these sinkers from Brady Coyne. He's just so effortless from beyond the arc, but he was not the only Bobcat to be having a great day in that first half, as potentially the best 2 minutes of basketball we've seen from anyone this year on the tie court from Shawer Mayen. Got 2 massive blocks, followed by a dunk at the other end, or sandwiched around dunk at the other end.
Yeah, it was an impressive moment. I don't think I've heard the home crowd audibly gasp at something an away player's done quite like this before.
I mean, from the weak side, just comes out of nowhere and just spikes Jamessi's shot into the ground. Look at the reaction from the bench. Just an unbelievable play and an unbelievable first half for Mayen. 2 threes already for Coyne. As we mentioned, he had 6 last game, 5 the game before that. He's on a heater, 18 threes over his last 4 coming into today, now 20 over 5, and he's got room to up that here in the second half. We'll certainly have our eye on that.
A thing to note, Mayen not in the lineup to start the second half for the Bobcats after picking up a second foul with seconds to go in the first half.
Jamesi can't get the first shot of the second half to fall.
But interesting that that's exactly where they go to start the half. Get it to Jamesi. That's his game.
And Bobcats trying to start the second half right with the left off the first. Couldn't quite get it to go through. Here's Cy Hodges. Neto is back into the game. Started the first half, but came off relatively quickly. Here's Pui going up against Bernstein. Fade away and sink it.
Pui's a skilled player. He's big and he's strong, but he's a shooter. He's got great touch. He's great on defense. Up number 1 or number 3, blocks per game in the NESCAC. So an all-around, really, star for Bates and someone to build around.
Kennelly trying to find some space of his own. Going underneath and can't quite get that one through. Ball will eventually go out for a Bates inbound.
It didn't finish in a basket, but something good to note in that possession. James Maracas had the opportunity to step back, force a shot over 2 defenders, thought better of it, kicked it out, and it led to a good opportunity there for Kennelly.
Both possessions so far for Tufts have ended with a shot in the restricted area.
Here's Pui advancing towards that restricted area. Another fadeaway, and another one goes down.
And anyone who's ever played pickup basketball knows you hit one little turnaround fade, you want the ball again on the next possession, and you want to shoot it again. And he hits both.
Just like that, the lead is back up to 7. Bates did not spend much time in the locker room at halftime. They were out after about 6.5 minutes. Because there was clearly not much that Coach John Furbush had to say to them. He just said, keep doing what you're doing, and they have really rallied to that message so far. Kennelly trying to find some space, hangs in the air. He's going to draw a foul.
And maybe, I'm not sure, good call, bad call, but definitely bailed out a weak possession from the Jumbos right there. A lot of movement without a lot of production. Nothing really happening. Kennelly dribbling back and forth, doing a great job denying Jamesi down low, but you'll take really any possession that ends with 2 shots at the line.
First one is good.
I agree with that, Jared, but I have to wonder what the Jumbos are doing if they're not taking advantage of Josh Bernstein's height advantage. He's 4 inches taller than anyone else on this floor, especially while man is not in the game. You go at the basket, use your height to your advantage.
I think the Pui on Bernstein matchup isn't as big of a mismatch as we would see in a lot of different games. They've got Pui listed at 6'7". I would give him at least probably an extra inch. Doesn't look like Bernstein's towering over him, and Pui might have the strength advantage there. I think you got to be creative in the ways you get your forwards into action and hunt mismatches.
I'll give you the height thing, but I just don't think there's 2 inside for Bates with the 5 on the floor that can deal with the combination of Jamesi and Bernstein.
Real question is, can the Jumbos deal with Pui on the other end?
Not if they can't control the glass.
In the meantime, here's Neto. As you say, Pui listed at 6'7", third in the NESCAC for blocks per game. Up there with the 2 big guys, Will Scherer of Amherst and Josh Bernstein of Tufts. 6'7", 6'10", 6'11", as that one goes down for Bates.
That's a beautiful finish. And now you're down 8, and I think kind of what I just mentioned, Tufts, if I'm going to try to find something that will work, I'm going to hunt a mismatch. That's what you do when you're down 8. Find a matchup that works for you and go at it.
Messi's going to try and make that mismatch him on the 3-point line. Does not come up trumps. Here's Sparks, spinning past Riley into the lane. Eventually finds Pui, retreats back behind the arc, and is short as magic is just worn off a bit for the Bobcats behind the arc.
I like the move from Brandon Litton to bring Truman Gettings in.
Here's Maracas, and that's a good move from him to get the Jumbos some momentum.
Gettings had a very strong first half, and this is a very strong finish from Maracas. He loves moving his defender off with his offhand and then finishing on either side. That was a strong finish with the left. Would like to see more looks like that from Maracas.
Brady Coyne.
And a quick timeout. I mean, that's a momentum killer.
Interestingly, a timeout from John Furbush.
Interesting. Yeah, timeout charge to Bates off the Coyne 3-pointer. That's Coyne's 3rd 3-pointer of the game, so he's on track to get 5 in 3 games in a row, which that might be some sort of record. I'm not sure. But, again, Bates is looking better than Tufts is here in the second half. I mentioned hunting a mismatch. The Boston Celtics, they play what they call a killer whale offense. They hunt seals. That's the philosophy that they play with. When you are in a slump or your offense isn't working in rhythm, you got to find the seal and you got to hunt them. And I think this Tufts offense has the personnel on offense to do that. They can find matchups where they have the advantage, particularly with Jamesi, Bernstein, and Maracas all on the court together. I don't think they've done a great job of that so far today. I think games where you consistently see, oh my God, there's a 6'2" dude with 7' Bernstein, posting him up. That's a mismatch. Get him the ball. But you got to put him in an action to do that. Pick and roll, movement off the ball, backdoor screen, something like that. Now Gettings is in the game. He's a bit more of a ball handler. We'll see what the adjustment is.
Watt also back in the game. Looking for Gettings. Spins that one, gets 2 on the board.
Yeah, Gettings, a little bit of a more skilled finisher at the rim than Bernstein, allows the Jumbos to really play through the post.
And importantly, a better free throw shooter.
That one launched in towards Cy Hodges. He's going to draw a foul on the floor.
And Gettings having a great game so far today. 8 points. I think that might have been 9 and 10. He's already got 5 rebounds. Started, obviously. He's done a good job. So I think we'll see more Truman Gettings.
Who is on Coyne?
Uh-oh.
Now the question is who's on Cy Hodges. Is 2, in fact.
Jumbos are all sorts of mismatched.
O'Leary, or excuse me, that's Neto, is wide open in the corner. Coin eventually is going to find him. He's found back. Can't sink it from near range. It seems Coin has to be so many feet away from the rim in order to make it accurate for him.
He made the right decision there. He dropped into that dunker spot. When he got the ball, he went straight up, but just a little bit too strong on the floater.
Sparks to inbound. Finds Hodges. Coin again sprinting to make himself open. Trying to get around Riley. Now Hodges across the court. Jumbo's defending resolutely as the shot clock was ticking down, but they win it before then. Maracus one-on-one. Foul is called.
He's the guy you probably want to. He's, I would argue, best player on the fast break in the NESCAC. If not one, he's up there. Just puts his head down, but he's so in control. That's really been what he's gained over the last couple of seasons. He can go full speed, but still kind of maintain complete control of what's going on the break. Does it right there. Draws the foul. I didn't love that offensive possession from Bates. They didn't run their out-of-bounds play with very much urgency. They had an option for a man coming around the screen to get to a three ball, but they kind of walked through it, and that possession ended in a turnover. Those are the type of possessions on offense you need to avoid.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think this is a much better defensive lineup for the Jumbos in that they can switch pretty much everyone on this floor, 1 through 4 at least, if not 1 through 5, to really prevent the use of those pin-down screens to get Brady Coin those open looks.
Maracus got the first from the line. And he got second, one of the best shooters from the line on the team, about 85% on the year. The good news for Bates fans is that they are 6-2 this year when going into the half with the lead. The last time they lost going into the half with the lead was back on November 20th. Since then, they've been 6-0 when going into the half with the lead. They've only pulled away so far, as Pui trying to add more to that. Unable to do so. Maracus, Riley, 3.
And that's a good find from Maracus. Off the bat, wasn't sure what he was going for, but he had his eyes on his shooter, and that's an in-rhythm open 3. A little bit of a closeout, but when you get that and go straight up, it's pretty much wide open. And Riley's a guy we know can knock it down.
And he's starting to get hot. That's 2 in about 5 minutes of game time now.
All of a sudden, Bates' lead is down to 2.
And it's Maracus on the fast break again, really. He can go to the rim, he can kick to the corner. All the options are open, makes him just such a dangerous playmaker.
Stressed faces on the Bates bench as Neto tries to put something up.
Follows it up with a lockdown possession on defense. And another find.
It's Kane this time, and another 3 sent down. That's money from the Jumbos, and timeout called by Bates.
That's a full cross-court, right hand to the left corner pass from Maracus. Hard to do it better than that. They're going to call it a long 2, I think. Foot was on the line. But, I mean, back-to-back possessions really from Maracus where he's on the break, and he makes all 3 plays. Goes to the basket, draws the foul, gets down the court, kicks to the right corner, and then a full court pass to the left corner, and that's basically 8 points generated by James Maracus.
It is, and it's all stemmed from the decision made to switch the defensive alignment. To start the half, you had Dylan Riley dealing with Keenan Sparks. When they switched him back onto Coin, it has really shut this Bates offense down the last 4 or 5 possessions, and as a result, the Jumbos have gotten back into this game.
Question marks as the live stats had credited that as a 3. They've eventually fixed that now. It will be decidedly a long 2, but that brings this game back to evens, which it has not been for a while.
If my memory serves me, I don't believe it's been exactly even since 0-0.
Tufts' largest lead on the day was 5. It was 10-5, but Bates they extended their lead up to 9 points when it was 44-35. Since then, a 9.90 run for Tufts to draw even. Bates has had the lead for almost 64% of the game, but now back even. Tufts still only at 35% from the field, but they're doing a good job getting to the line. 16 shot attempts from the line. Bates only 7 from the line, and that's something I noted coming into the day. This team tends to lose when they can't get to the line. Average free throws made in their losses, 6.75. Average free throws made in their wins, 12.7. So they're doubling up, basically, in the games they win compared to the games they lose. Again, that's a benchmark they're hitting tonight.
Pui gets it back in the low post, going up against Jamesi. Floater, and it's another one good. Bates are not giving up the lead that easily.
I would note, though, he really wants to get to his right hand. Every time down low, he'll go left, but he wants to get back right. And so that's an adjustment you've got to make on the defensive end.
Jumbo's with a 5-out look here offensively.
Maracas coming to one in the middle. Can't get anything out of that possession, not a foul or points.
Sure looked like a lot of contact.
The other way goes Decker. He's going to get contact, but he will get the points first. Kravitz is set to check in for the Bobcats at the next opportunity. This one played out to Watt. He's going to line one up from 3, and that one is just short. Coyne putting in the work on the rebound. Had a career-high 11 rebounds yesterday against Conn College. It's not his typical forte, but still putting in the work. Now Decker looking for 4 points in 2 possessions. He's going to get it.
That's how you come out of a timeout. 6 straight points, all good, high-efficiency shots in the painted area.
Maracas trying to go around Jamesi's screen. Then launch it to Jamesi. Barges into his defender.
Ooh.
I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Jumping over the guy on the ground.
Oh, I was more talking about Scott Jamesi missing a 5-footer.
An airball 5-footer, in fact.
It's tough when you're jumping over a guy lying on the ground.
Here's O'Leary. Can't get it past Maracas, but casually lays it off to Sparks. That's clever play.
And that's a beautiful drop-off pass. Just left it on the floor.
Officials timeout here.
Might be a blood rule.
Keenan Sparks is going to take to the sidelines for a second as Kravitz comes in to replace him.
And interesting to note, Mayan has not seen the floor through the first 8+ minutes of this second half.
And now, speak of the devil. Couldn't be better timing. Here he comes. Mayan on the floor after a big half on the defensive end in the first half. Now, though, he'll come in to try to protect an 8-point lead that has quickly grown out of a tie game.
As soon as Tufts go on a 9-0 run, Bates go on an 8-0 run the other way. Bobby Stewart going to come in for the Jumbos soon.
There's your mismatch, Jared.
But kicks it out, and that's a mismatch as well.
Maracas can't get the basket, but will get the foul.
And that's exactly what I mean, though. So you've got to mismatch 2 places on the court. You can attack Jamesi on a smaller guy down low, or you bring out Mayen, and you've got Maracas, gets him to jump, goes right by him, draws 2. You want possessions like that where you can manipulate the defense so that there are favorable matchups for you. There are teams in the SCAC that don't have that privilege. They don't have guys on the court throughout the game that they can get onto another defender and say, okay, that's a win. The Jumbos have those type of guys, so it's just about getting them in the right position.
Maracas' first free throw cuts the lead to 7. Jamesi checked out for Stewart. Second one does not go. Coyne bringing it forward for the Bobcats. Decker jogging into position. Meanwhile, Mayen sets the pick. He's going to go for the alley-oop, and you wouldn't doubt it. Just too many Jumbos in the vicinity. Maracas trying to go the other way, and there's going to be...
Did they call that a charge?
An offensive foul. I think they said he hooked him, tried to alternate the dribble, go baseline, and use that right arm to create some space. And that's where you get an offensive foul. You don't really see that call all too often, but probably a good one.
Full court pickup here.
It's no problem for O'Leary, though, as he just jogs past Quincane. Kravitz from 3. He picks up where he's left off. He has not lost in mojo.
It's Kravitz's 3rd 3 of the night. And the onslaught continues from downtown for Bates.
Meantime, here's Stewart. Watt, overhead pass to Riley. He's trying to respond. Not quite, and that one eventually went out off of the Bobcats.
Ambitious there from Coyne, trying to pick the ball out of the hands of Bobby Stewart. And a really good job from Zion Watt, being alert to it, giving him a heads up, allowing that to get over to Dylan Riley, who just couldn't get it to fall.
We're going to see a timeout called for by Coach Linton and needed. Bates has come out of that last timeout with a vengeance, pushed their lead up to 10. Jumbos right now just don't seem to have an answer really on either end of the court.
When you're down by 3 going into the half, that's one thing. When you're down by 10 going into the last quarter of the game, that is quite another.
Babacar Pui up to 12 points on the day. He's got a block, a 1 and 2 rebounds, and then Kravitz, he started, and he's got 3 threes, and then you got Coyne, he's got 3 threes, so 6 threes between the two of them, and shooting efficiently. I think the thing about Coyne is that he hasn't forced it at all today. He's 3 for 4. He's really taken them in rhythm. And the Jumbos, again, their guy shooting is Dylan Riley. He's 2 for 6. Outside of that, just not enough consistent production. A lot of guys on the floor today just haven't made enough of an impact. And the number 1 guy on the list, I'd say, is Josh Bernstein. 9 minutes today. He's only taken 1 shot. He didn't make it. He's got 1 point on a free throw. He does have 2 assists, 5 rebounds, but he has been pretty close to a non-factor as we've seen him all season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think for a guy who's playing in a starter's role today that he doesn't normally get in Liam Kennelly, it's been a little bit of a disappointing day for him. Hasn't really been willing to create his own shot, only taken 3 on the day. And for someone who's known for that scrappiness and his offensive rebounding, only 1 rebound.
So on the court here is Riley's trying to drive inside and take one of those rare 19% shots. Can't get it up. Kennelly slings that one out to Watt. Short. Kravitz with the rebound.
It's a good look, but shots just aren't falling right now for the Jumbos.
Now Coyne again. So that's a size mismatch and a half between Kennelly and Mahan. Mahan gets it here. Up against Stewart. Still pushing against him. Here's Decker now. Manages to sneak that one in from a crazy angle.
That is just amazing individual offense.
You can see the concern on the faces of the Tufts bench. Trying to bring this one back. They're going to call that 3. That is what you do to alleviate those concerns.
Great pass from Bobby Stewart. Whips it into the corner. He loves passing out of the high post and gets it to Quinn Kane. Knocks down to 3 and 1. Just too aggressive of a closeout there. Type of shot you need to jumpstart a run and get back in it under 10 minutes now to play.
Not only that, it's the type of shot you need, and it's the type of mistake that really stems the momentum the Bobcats had.
And that's why Stewart's in the game, to make passes like that. I also really liked his effort on the defensive end in the previous possession. Unfortunately, Kane doesn't finish the 4-point play, however.
Jumbos have not been great from the free throw line today, 12 for 18.
Now here's that 3-2 zone again.
Messi back in the game. Maracas is going to wait until the next chance.
And that's exactly what you want.
It's a good interception there from Watt. Brings it forward to Gettings. To Kane. Runs out of real estate. Now Watt.
Mismatch.
Messi tries to find Kennelly on the far side. Pull up. Just long. Messi does the Messi rebound classic.
Ooh.
Can't quite put it away in the end.
And then too aggressive from Kennelly. A little bit of just an odd game for Messi so far. Not that he has been playing well. He's leading the team, tied team lead in points. But some of those easy shots we've seen haven't been going down as easily. He does have now 5 offensive rebounds on the day. We just haven't seen them turn into points as often as we might usually expect. If that flips, that'll get the Jumbos right back in it. Nothing to do with effort on either end. Just a bit of things not quite going the Jumbos' way.
The two-headed monster takes the sub out as Pui comes in for Mahan.
The flip side of not running them together is you have one on the court at all times. That's a lot of rim protection.
And here is Pui trying to get past Gettings. He's going to draw the foul out of it.
And I think that's a good call. I know you might be a little bit frustrated if you're Truman Gettings, but Pui does a good job hesitating just a little bit so that when Gettings comes up on him, that's when he gets the shot off and gets 2 free throws. It's been a while since we've seen Josh Bernstein. Pointed out, not looking great for him so far today, and that's kind of been a trend this season. The team is undefeated when Josh Bernstein records 10 or more rebounds or 10 or more points. In all 4 losses they've had, he has been under 10 rebounds and under 10 points. So his box score does really translate to how this Jumbo's team does. And so far, he's going to be under both of those stats. So we talk about numbers you want to hit as a team. Getting Bernstein involved is certainly one of them, and they've had a hard time doing that so far.
Meantime, his opposite number, Big, gets 1 of 2 to bring the lead back to double digits. Maracus. Gettings has so much space, and he's not going to miss that one.
Great play design there.
They're all distracted by Jamesi and the threat of Riley coming back as a three-point shooter, and that leaves Gettings wide open under the basket.
Jumbos really could use the crowd to get into it here.
Bates have already surpassed their points total from yesterday. They lost 46-56 to Conn College. Already well past that today.
And another steal out of the 3-2 zone. Now it's kind of clicking, and they're in the right position defensively.
Maracus spinning, tossing to Jamesi. What touch from Jamesi?
Yep, and there it is. Scott Jamesi has refound his touch. Maracus with the right decision. Just like that, it's back to a 2-score game.
Earlier today, we saw this 3-2 zone, and we saw it work, and then we saw it get picked apart. Last couple possessions just looked really good. They're trying to find a pass into the corner, but the length of Riley did a good job stopping that. Kennelly got a hand on the ball as well. We'll see, again, another steal from Kennelly. This 3-2 defense is cooking.
Riley, there's that 90%. And there's that timeout.
So this all came from the defensive end. This is back-to-back-to-back, maybe to back. Defensive possessions where Bates cannot figure out this 3-2 zone, and they're not the first team to have this problem. Tufts does a really good job hedging up top so you can't get the ball into the middle, and if you try to get the ball to the wing, they'll backpedal and get a hand on it. What you've got to do is you've got to move quickly. You've got to take advantage of any little bit of mispositioning. First half, we saw that. We saw Quinn Kane kind of move up a little too much. You get the ball over his head. Suddenly, you could easily get down the baseline and get a basket. But the last 3 times, pretty perfect.
Well, what they've been doing, which has made it even better than the first half, is we saw it a couple possessions ago when Zion Watt baited that pass to the corner, knew it was coming, and read it all the way. The length of the arms of Riley and Watt as those 2 wing guys in the 3-2 zone allows them to cut middle, prevent that from being a dribble lane, and then get back defensively on the pass that they are forcing to a specific spot. And because of that, they know where the ball is going to go in most cases and can anticipate and in often cases intercept.
You see Liam Kennelly on that play. That might be the most quintessential Liam Kennelly play ever. Diving to make the interception before getting it off as if to his teammate.
Full court zone here.
Kennelly and Watt both have 3 steals today, so 6 between the 2 of them.
Decker to Coyne, into O'Leary. Pui going for a third behind the back pass, but he stepped out of bounds first.
So turnovers on 3 straight possessions. Jumbo defense suddenly locked in, and it's that adjustment. Let's go to the 3-2 zone, and let's commit to it, see if they can break it. If they can't, make them figure it out.
Jamesi going to be the distributor here.
He has Riley. Riley has Gettings. They're going to call that for Tufts.
Yeah, it's a great play. We saw it a couple plays ago with Riley coming off that screen, but it's really all just a diversion because the real play is underneath to use the mismatch after Gettings sets the screen for Riley, and he's got that shorter guy on him down low.
If you're an opposing team like Bates, Truman Gettings probably not the first guy you're game planning against, but this is a guy who's played all 4 years here and made an impact consistently, very skilled big, and someone the team is very happy to go to right now.
Even happier to go to him after that. It's a 2-point game once again. Bates have been holding out just about throughout this second half.
He was a starter on a team that, made noise in the playoffs. This is a guy who is just a really valuable weapon off the bench for Tufts.
Crowd getting into it.
Here's Hodges to Decker. Trying to sneak that one in, but it's going to be another turnover, or will stay with
Oh.
He did not touch that basketball.
Crowd is unhappy. That would have been another turnover.
Instead, Bates get a bit of a bailout, but they only have 4 seconds on the shot clock.
Watch Coin coming off the pick.
Yeah, they want him in the corner, but beautiful.
And after about 5 bounces, just about gets that one to roll in. Alleviates the pressure for 1 or 2 possessions. Maracas crossing up and into the middle, 4-2.
And again, it was the threat of Gettings. Gettings getting held down low, actually, right there. You look, but then they call that the Daniel Tice, or some call it the Marcin Gortat. Just clear out down low. Sometimes it's an illegal screen. That was legal right there. Use your backside and create space, and that's how you got the look for Maracas wide open down low.
Now here's Saihajas, double teamed into Pui. Sparks has space. Doesn't have a 3 though. But Pui has the board. Coin from about a yard behind the arc. Not this time.
Jamesi got fouled, yep.
And another possession goes to waste for Bates.
Loving the crowd energy here in the second half. They've gotten into it. And this has become just a great game. Privileged to be here and witness this.
Could not ask for a better senior day in terms of entertainment value.
If you're a Bates fan, this is the last game they will be playing this season. Great game to finish it out on, especially if they can get this win over the line.
Kennelly.
Eventually, they're going to call that foul in favor
No, I think they got
Bates.
Kennelly out of bounds.
Yeah. But Kennelly, I mean, comes flying in, jumps, hits the ball out of a Bates player's hands midair, and then dives on it, foot on the line. But again, the energy never quits.
Maracas going to come out, allowing the defense to go full court here.
Again, Bates break through the full court press quickly.
And now drop back into the zone.
Sparks fakes to Coin, then goes to Coin. Out to Decker. Sees the gap, drives through it, but then is closed off. Sparks finds Pui, again has space, and has the 3 points. And just again, when the Jumbos are getting within reach, Bates find that one shot to hold them off.
It was a good possession offensively from Bates. You kind of could feel that an open shot was coming because they were moving so well vertically, getting into the zone. The zone's just going to naturally collapse a little bit, and then you get a shot outside.
Kennelly. Still going is Kennelly. Lofts it up, and they're going to call a foul.
Yeah, it's the right call. Coming across there was Sparks, and he gave a little bit of a bump to Truman Gettings on the board.
And Jumbo approves. He's nodding his head. He said, that's a good call.
Jumbos will be shooting the rest of the way.
Tufts have less than 4 minutes to get this lead back. They last led with 11:40 to go in the first half. Gettings has a chance to make this a one-possession game once again. First one is good. As you mentioned, the quality of Gettings from the free throw line compared to Josh Bernstein really is paying dividends now for the Jumbos.
Yeah, absolutely, though. Announcer's jinx. Maracas, though, he took maybe a sip of water on the bench and then came right back in.
Jumbos back to man.
Interesting, they really like Kennelly in the middle, though. They even with, you could have the length of Watt, Maracas, and Riley, but they like what Kennelly gives them in this defensive look.
Riley with a good instinctive hand out to intercept that one, but stays Bobcats ball.
See if they push the zone out here with Bates having to inbound the ball from their own backcourt and only 9 seconds to shoot.
Riley giving some token pressure, but still finds his way through to Saihajas. Another one goes to waste for the Bobcats as Jumbo's just inching ever closer to getting this lead back in their court.
Assuming that'll go with a turnover, that's 7 turnovers in the second half for Bates, only 1 for Tufts. So as this game has kind of undulated back and forth, that has been what has brought the Jumbos back into it.
Maracas stopping, going, spinning, putting one up and winning the foul and one.
Sometimes you don't need great offensive game planning when you just have offensive brilliance like that.
It's just all about being in control. You're moving, you're spinning, but you've got your eyes on one thing and one thing going, that's getting a shot up. And when you're so physical like that, the contact's going to come, and just a good job finishing through it to get the and one. Maracas quietly putting together a pretty nice day.
He's got one more to make it an even better day.
And he's had double-digit scoring in all but 2 games so far this season. Started the season off 17 straight games in double digits before, a couple games where he was under that. But now 21 of 23 games on the season, he's been in double digits, 22 of 24.
Full court press still on Kennelly. Nearly got the interception there.
Jumbos have 3 in double figures. They are unbeaten this year when they have achieved that mark.
Hole sent in.
The crowd's trying to trick Bates.
I think it worked.
Maracas has so much space to run into, and he gets another 2, and the Jumbos have the lead back.
And they need a timeout. The energy in here is just amazing. And on the defensive end, the crowd was chanting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Another possession ends in a turnover. And Maracas on the fast break has just been a miracle for the Jumbos today. When things haven't been going well in the half-court set, that's been what they've looked to. Built by the defense and finished off by Maracas.
It really has been. You can see how the energy has shifted in here. This was a place that was dead about 5 minutes ago and is now on their feet. But on the same time, you still look at this Bates team. We talked about it in the open and how they've struggled down the stretch in close games. And we talked the entirety of the first half and most of the second half about how this was such a good omen for this Bates team going into next year. They have a chance to really go out on a high note by overcoming their demon of this year and finishing this one out strong. But if they want to do that, they're going to have to beat the Jumbos over the next 3 minutes.
Had close losses to Amherst in STAC play, lost to Middlebury and Wesleyan in overtime, and they are threatening to throw away another lead late in a game.
And they just need to find an offensive adjustment. The last 5 minutes-ish have just been all Tufts on the defensive end, and they haven't really found any answers. I think you've got to get the ball in the hands of Babacar Pui, and you've got to get the ball in the hands of your shooters. That's what was working earlier. Tufts doing a really good job running Bates off of the three-point line. You haven't seen those type of attempts late here today. And for Tufts, it looks like they're sticking with Truman Gettings in that 5 spot. He has done a really phenomenal job, 15 points, 5 rebounds today. Josh Bernstein only 9 minutes, 1 point, but it's going to be Gettings who they're going to roll with to try to finish this one off.
Yeah, Bernstein had the first 2 minutes of this second half and has not seen the floor since.
Expect Tufts to drop back into a zone look off the press here, but they're doing a good job at least making this difficult, getting the ball across half court.
Ball in the hands of Coyne. Now to Sparks.
Trying to screen Kennelly up top.
Trying to go past Kennelly. Is the crowd trying to do their tricks again? Clock is actually running down this time.
They're not getting that shot off.
Wow. We're going on 5+ minutes of lockdown defense from this Tufts defense, just doing everything right. And Bates right now is seeing ghosts a little bit. They're not getting into their sets. They're not looking and finding good looks. Jumbos definitely have a guy named Mo on their team right now. You know who that is?
Is it my friend Momentum?
Momentum. Thank you, our good friend David Latham. He coined that term.
Meanwhile, it's Mo Rackus with the ball right now.
Oh.
Covered by Pui, but finds Jamesi either way. Jamesi isn't quite automatic from that position. The Bates get a crucial stop of their own on defense. Sparks has it back. Now to Decker. Again, a yard behind the three-point line, and it's just worn off for the Bobcats from
In
there.
that timeout, Bates decided they were going to come out and try and use picks to get some open looks out of a zone. But as they teach you back in rec ball, you cannot pick against the zone and have it work.
Maracas to Jamesi. Back to Maracas. The acceleration, the 2 points, the 3-point lead for
and
Jumbos.
the body control on this finish to keep Hui on his back hip and go up with the left. You're giving yourself an open look, basically using your body as a shield. He's gotten so very good at that, and it's been a big part of the Jumbos coming back on top late here today. What was a slow start for Maracas, he was 1 for 5 from the field, has turned into a beautiful game for him. 6 for 11, 17 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, just been very, very in control.
Bates have led for 70% of this game, and right now they are in danger of dropping it with 1 minute and 3 seconds left. 3 points in the hole.
Well, yeah, that is 100% a function of the Jumbo defense. An 18-6 run over the last 7 minutes and 22 seconds. I'm going to repeat that because it bears repeating. Bates has scored 6 points in the last 7.5 minutes.
And if there was not much to say from Coach John Furbush at halftime, there's plenty to say now. It's an intense timeout, I can imagine, watching that huddle across the floor. Looking at 5 ties in this game, 3 lead changes. At the moment, it is Tufts that have gotten the better of those.
Maracas now leads all scorers in this one with 17. Gettings has 15, Jamesi 12.
Maracas is quietly the second leading scorer in the NESCAC. And Jamesi is kind of he's a 4-time NESCAC player of the week and one of the better players here, but Maracas has just been such a dominant offensive force, and a lot of times I think goes under the radar just how consistent he has been in getting this Tufts team ahead of the pack on the offensive end.
Look at the box score every night. It's 15 here, 18 there from James Maracas.
It's just consistency.
Bates need consistency here. Finds Sparks from 3, and he gets it. We're tied again.
That's the look they wanted coming out of the timeout, and they got it. That's the best look they've gotten in probably 10-plus possessions. Wide open 3, lefty stroke is good. So now it's a tie game. Whistle, I thought there might be another timeout, but no, Tufts is going to play this one. There's 47 seconds left, 30 seconds on the shot clock. You need to play this timing correctly. You can get a 2-for-1 if you're Tufts and you do it right.
At the same time, you don't want to sacrifice a good look.
Exactly.
Maracas with that and more on his mind.
Shot's got to go up quickly if you want it. Doesn't seem like that's their priority.
Now you have to get a good look.
Maracas up against Coyne. Driving into 3 players. He's going to win the foul. And that is the one player you want at the line for the Jumbos.
A patient possession. Didn't look like a lot was developing off the bat, but again, Maracas has been the focal point the last couple times down the floor. He feels like he knows what he's doing. They have faith in him to take control of that offense, and he does a good job. You get into the middle of defense, odds are good things are going to happen. Tufts has been getting foul calls all night, and they get another one.
Maracas gets the first one to go. Less than 25 seconds after this free throw for Bates to get the lead back. The ball is in their court.
Timeout, Brandon Litton. And for those who are Bates fans watching at home, no, you are not seeing double. This is almost exactly what you saw last week in Middletown. The one difference is there's a 5 instead of a 6 on the scores, but it is still a 2-point game with your ball. Under 30 seconds to go. The question I have, Jared, is do they go back to Pui on the baseline like they did against Wesleyan?
I mean, my instinct here is you're going for a quick 2. I don't think holding for the, it's tough. There's no shot clock on, so you can hold for that final shot. I do think that's who you're going to. Pui has been your most consistent offensive player. Now, of course, you get it down low, defense collapses. You've got shooters on the outside who can make Tufts pay. So a lot of flexibility here, but it's got to be, a coherent play coming out of inbound where everyone runs it to the max. We've seen some out-of-bounds plays today for Bates that just haven't really come together.
That's true. One thing to note, Jumbo's only with 4 team fouls. That means they have 2 to give. So if the Bobcats were to start, say, holding on to the ball, looking like they're going to hold for the last shot, potentially a 3, that becomes a factor.
100%.
Maracas is leading all scorers with 19, followed by Pui on 16, getting sneakily on 15 behind him. Pui is the name you're looking for right now if you're a Bates fan.
Be interested to see if Bates runs this out or if they bring it up across the timeline and then draw up a play. As you can already see, John Furbush is drawing something on his whiteboard.
Press is on from Tufts, making them use every second they can before getting across the timeline. 13 seconds now. Coin.
Might think about a foul.
He's going to go in. He's going to get blocked. He's going to get fouled.
Don't know if that's how I intended it, but
I mean, you're fouling a pretty good free throw shooter, so that's part of the calculus maybe you didn't intend. Coin a 79.4% free throw shooter on the year, but obviously you don't want to give up a look around the basket as we'll have another timeout. Look, you'd rather foul with time left on the clock. You're going to get another chance at a bucket, assuming no offensive rebound for Bates, but obviously would prefer to at least foul before the shot or get out of there with no shot attempt at all.
If I'm Brandon Linton right now, I'm making probably 2 or 3 substitutions. I think I'm putting 4 bigs out on the court to make sure that if there is a rebound, it is our basketball and not an offensive rebound, because that could be extremely detrimental.
Yeah, Tufts still has a timeout left, so what you want is either both free throws are made, you're going to get a timeout, advance the ball, and then set up your set, or if it's a missed free throw, then the clock is running and it's kind of anyone's guess as to what could happen, but you're in control, you're up 2, and you have time left even if Coin hits both free throws. It's a position that I'm sure Coach Lynn, he knows what he wants. He's both huddles right now. They feel confident, but this has just been an incredibly entertaining game. Both teams really showed up here on Senior Day, and 7.5 seconds left. Most exciting game I've been a part of with JumboCast in this arena in a very long time.
It definitely is, and another thing to note, if it comes to it after a potential defensive rebound, that was the 9th foul, that last one, that sent Maracas to the line. So the Jumbos will be in the double bonus the rest of the way, 2 shots guaranteed.
Yeah, so no foul to give. If the Jumbos want a shot, they're going to get that shot. It's not going to be a foul on the catch.
Now, all eyes now turning to Brady Coin. Is on him if he can get this game back to level pegging. First one is good. Tufts has not gone to overtime this season. In fact, they haven't gone in over a year. And it's 2.
Bates has gone 4 times.
Maracas. It's about 3 seconds left. Riley is going to try and make this one for the history books. Isn't going to be. Coin got the net, but not the rim. And we're headed to overtime here in Cousins.
Wow. So Coin hits both free throws pretty calm. Linton has a timeout, elects not to use it. They go full court. The play looks like designed and run as intended. They get the ball to Riley for a 3-pointer. Not the worst look in the world. He was somewhat open, just couldn't get it to fall. So punching match, boxing match here in the second. Both teams trading blows, and it'll end up in an overtime battle. Couldn't really ask for anything more.
You can't ask for anything more, and I think in terms of what Brandon Linton could have asked for to get his team ready for the postseason, putting them through the ringer here today, pretty high up on that list. They really have to bring what it takes mentally for the postseason, and a lot of us were thinking coming into this game, it's going to be hard for them to get locked back into the postseason after a relatively easy end to the regular season, but This is getting them ready for the postseason right here, right now.
I'm 100% with you. I don't love the idea of going into the postseason coming off, back-to-back 30, 40-point wins. You need the experience in situations like this. You want close games where you're going to have to make or break plays, make or break shots. So this is great experience for this team, and great experience for this Bates team. They don't have any playoffs to play for, so you might as well have some good games down the stretch and then come out next year and build on that. So just we're seeing two teams that are really playing high-level basketball, and that's what the NESCAC is all about.
Tufts' last overtime game was a win over Wesleyan. I know, shocking, they did actually lose games last year. That was on February 9th, 2024. Bates have gone to overtime 3 times this year, including a win over UMass Dartmouth, and then losses to Middlebury and Wesleyan, both in NESCAC play.
So they're probably pretty tired of it at this point. Could the game just end in regulation? But 5 more minutes on the clock, and they'll have a chance.
Speaking of tired, a reminder, Bates did play last night in New London versus the Jumbos are coming in fresh, having not played in a week.
Maybe see right there, Gettings out jumps Pui and gets the tip.
Gettings gets it back. Into the corner. Jumbo's trying to start this one hot, not going to go that time. Maracas, again, just long. Good work from Sparks to control the rebound there. Decker just glides past 2 defenders.
All of a sudden, the Bobcats seem a little bit gun-shy. No one wants to take the open 3.
Again, Decker taking his time on that one. Shot clock at 10. Cy Hodges rolls off the rim and into the hands of Riley.
Poor possession there from Bates. Had a couple open looks from distance. Instead settled for a floater contested.
Oh!
Another just classic one out of the top drawer from Liam Kennelly. He doesn't score super frequently, but when he does, he makes them something to behold. And another interception there from Kennelly as he's been everywhere for the past 30 seconds. Bates steps out of bounds and the Jumbos get the points and get the turnover.
And you're starting to see the fatigue in real time here in some of these Bobcats who played 40 minutes last night and are now in 40-plus minutes here today.
Maracas makes use of the space, then finds Riley. And Riley makes use of the space even better. 5-point lead now for Tufts.
Brilliant play design. Look at this. Truman getting set to screen, preventing anyone from getting to that closeout. Gives Riley the open 3, and he makes no mistake about it.
Yeah, an open 3 from the top of the key for a shooter like Dylan Riley. So we're going to have a timeout, I believe. Is just basically a layup. Gettings does a great job creating that space. And again, comes off Maracas penetration, but not over aggression. He's going to turn around and make the right pass. So Tufts now lead up to 5 in overtime. Only 3 minutes, 25 seconds remaining. It's just been entertaining. That's really all there is to say. Both teams playing very scrappy, and it's come down. The difference has been in a game with very little between the two teams. That 3-2 zone on the defensive end has just been a little bit more consistent in forcing turnovers than anything Bates has had going on their defensive end of the court.
This 73-68 lead for the Jumbos, it ties their largest of the day.
If they have their way, they'll make it larger before the end of this one. Decker fakes 3 times the coin, and then
Are you
plays it
kidding
straight
me,
to
Liam
Kennelly.
Kennelly? Just in the passing lane time and time again, even when, you fake it 3 times, you think he can't be there, there he is. And another steal, his 4th of the day.
That's 9 now for the Jumbos.
Jumbo's taking some more time off the clock. As Kennelly lays it back for Maracas. Shot clock down to 7. Maracas gets the board.
And now you're killing lots of clock.
Bobcats struggling to get back up after going down for that board. The fatigue really showing in their legs.
Shot clock under 7 again. Riley driving to the rim, gets 2 more.
81% of his shot attempts might be threes, but he can make you pay off the dribble when it counts. He uses the threat of the three, goes right, finishes with the left, and you love to see that.
Pull up there from Decker, and it just won't fall for the Bobcats at the moment.
And now Tufts is in control.
Maracas, you would expect him in that form to finish that one as Jamesi steps out of bounds.
So that's where there's a question, right? Am I taking the ball? Am I going to the basket and trying to just, get that dagger, that final blow to knock down Bates, or am I slowing down and killing clock? He chose the former, and he missed it. So, there's a push and pull there. I don't think you're upset at that shot attempt if you're Coach Linton, but now 2 minutes, you got to reset if you're Bates. You're down 7. You need another type of run that we saw earlier.
Well, the question I think I have is I don't know if Bates, even given a full 5, could score 7 points the way the Jumbos are playing defense.
It's good work from Sparks to get into that area, but that was a wild shot.
Yeah,
it's going nowhere but into the hands of the Jumbos.
The Jumbos' defensive intensity is going to make that very difficult.
Full court press on from the Bobcats.
And a reminder, fouls transfer over from the second half, so the Jumbos will be shooting 2 shots all of this overtime if and likely when Bates decides to start fouling.
They have a minute and a half left to make that decision. They got the board there.
You got to get a shot up quickly here.
Kravitz has the space, has the time, does not have the points. Sahajas does, though, and that's going to be a timeout.
And just too easy of an offensive rebound. No blue jerseys in the paint to box out Sahajas. He comes in, grabs it, and that's easy. Still a 5-point game. It's a 30-second shot clock. You got to get a good shot, but you want to burn as much of that clock as you can.
Yeah, and I think right now I would go back to the 2-man game with Gettings and Maracas. They've been your 2 best players here in the second half. Let James Maracas get a mismatch and let him go downhill. You got the big boys in Gettings and Jamesi who can crash the offensive glass, give you a second chance.
Bates fell to Wesleyan by 6 in overtime last weekend. They're down by 5 to Tufts here with a minute 19 left. Still plenty of time. Maracas and Gettings combining for 34 points of the Jumbos 75. That tells you anything about that 2-man powerhouse that we've seen today.
They've been so good. I really question that come next weekend when we see the opening tip of the NESCAC quarterfinals if Truman Gettings will be the one in the starting lineup.
I have a hard time seeing that just because of how much success they've had so far this season, but even so, the role he has off the bench is not one that's going away anytime soon. I think we could maybe see less Bobby Stewart and more just Truman Gettings. Clearly, he's an impact player. Also of note, Jamesi's 12th double-double on the season, 14th game with 10 or more rebounds. He's been a force even in a game where he's not the Jumbo's leading scorer. You look up and he quietly has, 5, 6 offensive rebounds, 7 defensive rebounds, and he's making an impact. Oh, a risky pass.
That's going to be a foul, and that will be 2 shots for Scott Jamesi.
Dangerous pass there from Maracas.
Face foul charge number 2, Elliot Kravitz. That's his second. Tufts team bonus. At the line for the Jumbos, number
Jamesi
20.
hasn't. He's a forte in many things, but free throw shooting only 70%. Not bad, but not outstanding. Gets one there. Trying to make this 3 possessions again. And he does so. Lead back up to 7. Press still on from Tufts. Coyne finds the hole. Back to Pui. And another interception from Liam Kennelly. So many steals on the day.
That might be your exclamation point, Jared.
And it's 9.
Kennelly just living in the passing lanes. Just unbelievable defensive instincts, and his 5th steal now.
Kravitz trying to make this still a live game. 6-point game now, 51 seconds left. Again, the press hounding Jamesi, and he's going to go to the line again.
So Kennelly on the day, 9 points, 5 steals, 2 assists. He's 3 for 6 from the field, 3 for 4 from the line. It's hard to comprehend just how active he is on the defensive end. And there are just basketball players that have that different type of instinct to fight for the ball, to jump into passing lanes, and he's one of those guys, and it's really become clear over the course of this season that he's going to be making an impact for this team for a couple years now to come, because you can't teach that kind of defensive intensity. You just can't.
Career high of 6 steals versus Nichols in that game that Tufts lost unexpectedly. He's got 5 here today in a game that they were looking similar coming out of that first half, but now in a relatively comfortable position, 8-point lead.
It felt eerily similar, and I think that shows you how this Jumbos team has grown over the course of this season. I really question if this team was playing this game a month ago, would they have had what it took to come back?
Yeah, they've basically snatched a victory out of the jaws of defeat. They weren't looking great in the first half, but just they never get away from what they do well, and that's what makes them so consistent and so hard to beat. Kennelly, talking about, he's 6th in the league in steals per game. That's going to go up after this one. He might be close to the top. And when you just have all these guys who are so confident in their individual skill set, but still know how to play within the confines of a team, it's a special thing. And and Jumbos have that up and down the roster.
Bates aren't going away just yet, but that's 2 missed free throws from Sparks. They get the rebound, though. Wide to Kravitz again. He's going to try and sink another 3. Not this time. Maracas sprinting forward, and they will just about get the foul in.
Just about's a way of putting it.
It was more the intent of the foul that got the call there than any real contact. But either way, now the shot clock is off. You can get 2 free throws to bump us up to a 10-point game. You've done your job in overtime so far if you're the Jumbos, and you've really taken advantage of what is clearly a fatigued Bates roster.
And this Jumbos team, which is finally looking like they're going to hold on to this win, will do something that no team in this program's history has done, and that is win 20 regular season games.
Really?
Yes, all the way back since they were founded in the 1930s as a men's basketball program, there has not been a team to win 20 regular season games until today.
Program record is 23 wins total, so they have plenty of scope to break that record come the postseason. But for now, they have 20 seconds in front of them, between them and 20 wins.
But that's the quick basket you want, at least to stay alive in this one.
Now Maracas has it with 12 seconds left, and that will do it. After a spirited effort from the Bobcats of Bates College, really gave the Jumbos a run for their money, but the number 14 team came back and proved their worth. Your final score is Tufts 83, Bates 75 after extra time. Jared, what can we say after that game?
I mean, this was just a game where intensity, especially on the defensive end, and just grit kind of won out. Bates looked really good in the first half. They were making it rain from three-point land, but Jumbos stayed consistent. They stayed within their offense, and they locked in on the defensive end. Liam Kennelly was a big part of that. Truman Gettins was a big part of that on the offensive end. And in the end, they were the team with more talent on the floor, and that won out at the end of the day. Valiant effort by Bates. They really gave Tufts a run for their money. They've now taken 2 top 20 teams in the nation to overtime in the last 2 weeks. And unfortunately, they haven't come out on top either time. But much credit due to Bates for the way that they've played this season and the jump that they've taken from this last season to this season. They'll definitely be a team to watch going into the next season. Unfortunately, this will be where their season ends. For the Jumbos, you're going into the playoffs coming off kind of what we talked about, a couple big blowouts and then a good, nice, close game where you got it done in overtime. That's the type of momentum you need going into the playoffs. I think people here in Medford, they've got high hopes for this team, both in the NESCAC tournament and hopefully the NCAA tournament, and this team has done nothing to dissuade those hopes tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we talked in the open about the rotation and who was going to step up in place of some of those injured. I think there were a couple names. Zion Watt had a big second half defensively. Liam Kennelly was everywhere. But I don't think anyone really had a bigger second half than Truman Gettins. We're going to step aside momentarily. When we come back, we'll do a postgame with Truman Gettins.
We are back here at Cousins Gymnasium with Truman Gettings coming off a big overtime win here against Bates. It was senior day tonight. You got the start, and you played a pretty big role in leading Tufts to a win today. Did you foresee that you would pretty much play the entire second half into overtime? Obviously, we didn't know that was coming, and be such a big part of this win, or is that just kind of part of the way the game flowed and how Coach Clinton decided to go with it?
It's kind of just the way the game panned out. We've been working our butts off all week, all 5 seniors. Some of us have had major playing roles, others haven't, and this is something we've been looking forward to for a long time. The rest of the guys support us through this, and I got the call for the second half, and it ended up working out.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really a great win. And Bates, a team under 500 coming into today, but they took number 1 Wesleyan to overtime just a couple of weeks ago, and we've seen that they're a scrappy team. Coming into the day, did you guys know that this could really be a dogfight and one that would be quite difficult, or did they come out and surprise you really and punch you in early in the first half?
Just hats off to them. They're definitely a young team, but like you said, very scrappy, super skilled and athletic. I think they're just kind of figuring themselves out right now, and they're going to be a tough matchup for later years once they mature a little bit. Yeah, I think we kind of knew what they were coming in with, and we knew we had a battle on our hands, but I think we handled it pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. So turning to playoffs now, NESCAC playoffs coming up. We've got a, we think, first-round matchup set against Middlebury. They're a team that you guys played pretty well last weekend. That was a pretty big blowout for you. Is that a game you feel really confident going into, or is there you feel that Middlebury's going to come out, they're going to adjust, they know what they saw last weekend?
I think, like all teams do, they're going to adjust, but I'm confident with everyone, with any matchup that we get. With the guys behind us, the 1 through 18, we're really solid, and I like the scheme that our coaching staff gives us. I'm confident against any team in the country right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Truman. Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
So that's it for us here at JumboCast. A victory for Tufts over Bates here today. Next up is the playoffs. Thank you so much for watching.